We're back. Matter of
We
fact,
back.
we back.
We back. We back. We back.
I am Cineo. This is Lyrical Ones, episode 98. Joined as ever with Alfluent. Alfluent, how are you doing this evening?
You know, it's important when you're drinking water in front of the camera. Make sure your nose is clean. I'm good. It's things I care about. Not that y'all see them. More importantly, whether they clean or not.
It's real.
I'm good. Just changing the acoustics up by downsizing. Feel me? Consolidating and downsizing. But life is good. And Warriors moved to the second round of the playoffs. That's great. But let me tell you, if you never live with people, let me tell you about people eating your cake. It ain't good whether you live with them or you don't. But God knew what He was doing because I ate some people's food when they wanted it, and I ate it out their hand because it's sharks in the water. Nah, I didn't use my hand. These sharks in the water. You got 6 rows of teeth.
Uh, uh, It wasn't a hand. It was the one hand was a shark. The other hand was a hand.
Don't lose your hand that way. But it's here, the only April 27th, 2022 that exists in history. It's a it's a good life, and I'm a few months away from turning 37. And sometimes I like the days more than I like the years. Sometimes I like the weeks more than I like the years. Sometimes the birthdays are not as important as the everyday. And sometimes you don't turn down your light enough and it's beaming in your eye. And that ain't cool. But I'm officially maidenless. I got Elden Ring. And the next time y'all see me, I'm gonna have a full beard and gray hair, just like the character I'm gonna create. It's gonna have full beard, gray hair, and he gonna be black. My avatar's gonna be black, and he ain't gonna never wear a shirt. And I should have called him
Should have called him what?
Kunta Kinte, but I gave him some Swahili name that cause I'm wild.
I thought you would have gave him the Gambian name, a
I
name
don't know
from the
them.
Gambia.
I don't know what language they speak English to me.
Wikipedia.
Yeah, but I ain't about to honor somebody with my luxury. Like I'm I'm barely breathing. Like in so many ways, I'm barely breathing. I'm putting a lot together in life, and the transition of life and death is something that has been a theme in my life for me to understand. For a lot of people, I think don't like the idea of death because it's so far from our comfort zone and our understanding. And I think part of that is because we don't talk about it. It's like it's wild because when you go to school, elementary school, middle school, maybe middle school, but then folks don't really talk about someone passing away. They don't talk about how much these jobs they say you could be, say you could grow up and be anything. But say, well, how many of these anythings is go help me pay rent? And how many of these anythings go put me in debt? I wish high school teachers was talking about the school debt that they was in while that they're in while they're teaching. I wish, but digressing, not not undressing, is 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 wild that school won't talk about death, but everybody got to experience loss. Won't talk about taxes, but everybody's a business partner with the IRS. And won't talk about nutrition when you got so many people who are dying from the way that they malnourish their bodies. So it's episode 98. It's a good life. Cindy, how you feeling? We here. 9-8.
I was doing my piece to participate in the social media space. Excuse me, as I navigate the virtual world. Um, and I had posted a third verse of a song that heavily references healthy eating, right? Because the things that you said, right? There's a common phrase used: two things guaranteed in life, death and taxes, right? And you 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 brought in the third guarantee, or not, I shouldn't say a guarantee, I should say what would be a guarantee had we been more thoughtful of this life we live in as a collective, as a group of people in humanity in this world. Food, right? Food is not a guarantee for everybody, right? It is needed, it is necessary, it is essential, yet death and taxes are more prevalent than food, right? So when you said that, I was like, man, like it calls back to my experience working in schools, working with youth, where I would talk about taxes, I would talk about death, I would talk about healthy eating, because I knew that this needed to be discussed in the space, because there's no conversation being had. I would talk about my debt that I incurred from school that I still hold and manage and navigate and pay off. Um, because yeah, those the my story is my story, and a lot of youth who I encountered, I was I was thinking about what their story could be, what the possibilities are, not based off of you could be anything, because I just got finished, right? You could be anything, but you got to ask for permission to use the bathroom. You could be anything, but your time is dictated by others, and then when you're left to yourself, you won't give yourself permission to be anything, right? Because a lot of it's been decided for you. Some people make choices and decisions based off of what they have access to, what they believe in, right? And after a certain point, I'm seeing so many people leave their workspace because they're starting to believe in themselves and they're not asking for permission no more, right? But you are absolutely illuminating, right? Death and taxes are guarantees in this life. And yet our education is super inefficient, right? Like you said, as kids, we don't talk about death. We don't have no one to guide us to talk about death. The way that I experienced death growing up was it was frequent and constant, but it wasn't a conversation piece as much as a point of frustration. And there was no space to really explore, well, what's the healthy practices of grieving, right? It is so paramount because it's gonna happen and there's gonna be people who are impacted. And what do we do to support them, to guide them, to direct them through the process that is inevitable? Just as taxes, right? I was talking to youth about overestimating what your taxes are so you can be surprised by what you save, right? Overestimating what your monthly contributions will be because you want to have something extra. If you tell yourself one price and then it turns out to be something else, you're going to be elated to know, oh, I got a little extra. I got a little cushion. I got a little room to flex. Because yeah, these conversations aren't had. They're like we're setting up a future for people. Like this isn't a knock or a diss. I've just seen so many people who have just adopted the way it is to not push or even try and expand on how what could be for tomorrow for these youth. And so yeah, like you saying that, like super always it's like it's forever relevant as far as the eye can see.
You know, if I was a professor or a teacher, somebody wants to use a restroom, I give them a quiz right there on the spot. Say, either you go into the bathroom because you got to go, or or you go to the bathroom to escape the lecture or the content. But we're gonna find out. But I think I like the idea of the class answering the question. Yeah, if they're a talker in the class, I say I'm gonna ask the person who they talk to in class, or they're sitting right next to them. Say, here's my question. Finish the sentence, or what are we talking about? You can answer one of those, then your friend here can go to the bathroom. But if you can't, it's too bad for them. They got to go to the bathroom that nobody want to use up there on the third floor. Oh no, the third floor was cool. It was the second floor that was heavily trafficked. Got to
I
be
mean, it
careful.
got worse. It got worse the further you went up. First floor, absolutely trash.
Oh yeah, nah, wasn't even messing with the first floor
People
unless
don't
I
even
was in
go.
unless I was in the teacher's lounge somewhere.
That's real.
Whatever
Navigating.
they had, because the office had their own bathroom. I think across the hallway.
They did.
That might have been a motivation for me becoming student body president. I don't know. Oh no, I really just ran for student body president because I knew I would win. That's all. I didn't
Neither
know
is
who else
your.
was. I didn't know who else was running.
I need to know.
I didn't need to know. I just said,
I knew
can't
I
nobody
was running.
beat me. That was literally the thought. Like, can't nobody beat me. None of this. I just went wrote vote for me on every flyer that was already on the on the wall. It was grassroots, not even a marker, just a pen. Here, the name you know. first time candidate already an incumbent, disrespecting. But you know how you got them folks who compete at different things, and some people compete to not lose. Right? Some people compete right with the goal to win. And then some people they compete because they're trying to grow. And whatever they got to do to help them grow, they on board. It's no negative stigma about it. It's like this is the next step. I'm with it. If this is the next step,
I mean, that shows a lot of like a lot of maturity though. That shows a lot of experience. Time don't define experience. It's what happens within it. Like oftentimes people say I'm your elder as though I need to respect it, but it's like your experience will determine the respect I give you because your experience will be shown through your actions, right? And so you being student body president, being able to have a level of awareness because of what you've been through, how you've gotten through it at an early age, right? It's like this helps determine everything else. This helps push everything else.
that's right.
And so yeah, it's not even a matter of like why am I doing this? As much as I can see what's needed for me in this process.
Yep, that makes sense. I mean, being able to acknowledge your needs or the needs of a situation, is basically hireable traits, employable traits, but
Because
also
you could be anything.
CEO traits. It's like, well, I gotta fit in this box unless I want to, and that choice of I can do this for me or I can do that for other people, like has these high points and these low points, and finding a balance where you get to do for people and you get to cook for people, you get to chef curry for people, you get to lead, do what you've been practicing or thematic in your life as long as it's been a part of Steph Curry's life.
Yeah, no, it's super. I can't even tell people it's important. You'll figure it out. I will say how you choose to see it, right? How you choose to preference it, right? Like, are you gonna say I have to, or are you gonna say I get to? Are you gonna say this is forced upon you, or are you gonna say that you fortunate to have the day, right? Um, it's so easy to get stuck in the conundrum of what people have presented because I mean I'm learning it right now. I'm learning this process of gratitude every day,
Yep,
right? Being thankful for the days, knowing how amazing every day is because I have an opportunity at every moment to make a choice, to make history, to decide what's the next step or what is the moment going to be, how I feel about it, right? Like I'm constantly redirecting energy because I was born into a world that was trying to establish a pattern for me that I knew at the core, at the absolute core, it's not for me. I don't identify with it. It does not resonate with me. I'm not in alignment with it. Going back to breathing and how important breathing is. The doctor could tell me so many things that I knew, regardless of all the possibilities, I had a better idea of what it was because I know me. I've learned to develop a relationship to really listen to me and really respond to what my needs are, right? Oh, we want you to take these antibiotics. I don't think this is bacterial. Are we testing for bacteria? Right? No, no, no. We got the antibiotics. It's available to you to use. But is this bacteria we talking about?
right. It's like you, it's gonna expose me to it.
right? So that same thing applies to the job I do. Am I in a state of I have to do it, or I am in a place of realizing I get the opportunity to do it? I woke up, I had the capacity to go, I had the capacity to do. And am I gonna make the choice to decide I'm gonna do something different today? Right? It's all relevant. It's all necessary because yeah, they gonna tell you to be anything, but when it comes time to be anything, it's a different story. What you gonna how you gonna stay consistent when if it's something you love to do and now you have to start doing things you don't like to do to maintain that love.
Yeah,
If it's something you don't love to do, but the reward you're receiving, right, helps you get access to something else, right?
true.
It's always how you choose to see it. It's very tough at times to even acknowledge it, but it's true. Hindsight is 2020. Sometimes it's not.
True.
I'm praying that everyone has the opportunity to know or see or experience that because I'm a big believer in balance, right? Like balance.
Yes, you are.
There's time for work, there's time for rest. There's time for play, and there's time for everything else, right? Everything has its
For-
time and place,
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
right? And so I often will see people and they'll get caught in investing in one area and then ignoring the others, right? I'm gonna play too much, but I ain't gonna work as hard, right? I'm gonna rest more, but I'm not gonna expend my energy in a way that's gonna be, you know, worthy of the rest, right? Are they reciprocated? Are they reciprocal of each other,
Yeah,
right? And now they then look at me and are like, "Oh, you got access to, or you were able." And it's well, I was focused on the balance, and you weren't. I am no one. I'm a man with a mask on. I mean, you call it what you want. You see it how you want to, but it's intentional,
hmm.
right?
That's right.
And the balance is there. It's the boundary between who I am to the people that need me versus who I am to the other people, right?
Yeah,
Because you could be anything, right? I decided what I wanted to be. It took time, but everything I said I was going to do, I did it, and everything that have said that I haven't done is it's happening now. It's continually happening, right? Like realizing the importance of yeah, knowing those differences, knowing the difference between the two, right? Because it's like when you play Elden Ring and the avatar is a reflection of you, right? The reflection
yeah,
changes depending on the lighting, the timing, the outfit, the haircut, right? Anything could be a reflection of you, right? And that like in that game in particular, right? Given that it is heavily popular right now. It is a game to experience.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
The thing that I hear a lot in this game is the journey, right? The process of how you discover the world and how you interact with it. It's to me
Hmm.
a very engaging way to have a metaphor about life, right? It's not a passive, right? It's an active, right? You have to actively be responsive. You have to learn the patterns. You have to learn and navigate the world and the space. It's a metaphor on life, right? You could watch a movie and it's a passive experience because it's what's being shown and given to you. And you could do that. You could walk through life and witness everything around you. But
Yeah,
then when do you actually take the time to actively engage in the world around you, to ask the question, how are you doing? To see, oh, I notice you're upset, right?
yeah,
It's both. It's one and the other, right? Some people want to watch the movie, some people want to play the game, right? You watch the movie, it goes by. Play the game, oh, we about to get into a boss battle. It's time to see if my experience is cut out for the battle in front of me, right? And it's not to say it's a violent battle. It is to say that there's a discourse, there's a back and forth, right? There is you and there's something different that exists outside of you. And sometimes to get to the goal, there may be some navigation to be had, whether
Yeah.
verbally, whether through, roles and responsibilities, whether through contractual obligations. There's so many different things, right? Verbal contract, right? Is it the law of the land or the spirit of the law?
Hmm.
Man, there's so many ways to look at it.
Right.
But again, this battle, as much as it may be, like I was talking to our dear Figo, and I was saying that people sometimes, right, they get consumed with the word, but is it the word or is it the history of what the word has done? Now, let me go a little deeper. Is it what one person has shown, or is it how others have used that one person to show something different, right? When you think of the Messiah complex, someone comes in, they're unifying and organizing and pulling people together, and then they're taken away from us.
Hmm.
And now you have people who see that there is a void, and they use the imagery of what this person stood for to redirect those people who have lost their leader, right? And there's the core people who remember what it was and why it was what it was. And then there's the people who say, "Well, we got something. It's a part of it. It's within alignment of it, even if it
Right.
don't feel like it, even if it don't look like it." And a lot of people gonna fall for it. They gonna go for it. And I'm saying that because it goes back to that idea of engaging and being active or being passive and just watching it go by, right? Because your breathing is essential, your eating is essential.
Yeah.
Taxes, as much as we don't like them, they are here, and death is too. And yeah, are we actively creating space to explore these concepts, to discover something that may be healing, profound, sustainable, or are we just watching it all go by?
Hmm. Hmm. I don't know. I guess we're doing a little bit of everything, right? We some people are watching it all go by. Some people are, proactive in trying to, understand and dictate, understand their choice, and then kind of dictate, what's going to happen. And then they still get to choose, how once it once it's happened, how they're going to respond. If it's stressful, how do I respond to that stress? Right? If it's not stressful, how do I make sure that some form of this event sticks around in my life so I'm not going through the motions.
Oh, that's real. I mean, yeah. I was 100% there. It's everything. Choosing and knowing and owning, because
Yeah,
there's no right way. It's not to say that there is a right way. It's to say that are you aware of which way you're going and which way you're choosing? Because it's a choice, right? And there's
right,
nothing wrong with the choice made. It's just being aware and communicating to those where you sit and where you stand and where it's at for you. Because I think that like it isn't always clear, right?
right,
You may get caught in something that's emotionally triggering. You witnessed it. You choose not to act,
right,
but it still sits with you, right? Or it hits you, you respond, you react, and now it's manifested into something else that not
right.
only sits within you, but also exists outside of you,
Yeah,
right? And it's not to say one is good or one is bad, but it is to acknowledge and be aware because it's the difference between reading a piece of information that hurts you and now has manifested into a series of feelings with everything. It's like, am I looking at it for the beauty or am I now just looking at all this gum stuck on the sidewalk? Forget
hmm,
the flowers to the left, forget the birds up above me. I'm looking down and all I see is cracks in the pavement, right? Really being responsive to, am I acting? Am I passive? And what am I doing in this to regulate myself? Because it is a thing where I feel like it's easy for people to lose sight of that, right? The self regulation, right? The self engagement, the self relationship. Because
Yeah,
yeah, you're right. We doing a little bit of everything.
yeah, and I mean, I think it's important to say that even as I'm trying to process and figure out my choice, I can still right move forward. I can still choose to be proactive and not stagnant as I'm learning about my role in the world. And not just a role, not just a role in itself that it gets assigned to me, but more so in my behavior. Is it coming from a place that's doing more for me than just enjoyment? And I think I came to grips with that. I think when I was traveling, so maybe 2015, 16, I used to say, "Man, I hate fun." But when someone asked me, "Oh, how was this trip? Did you have fun?" It's like, "Nah, I hate fun." But the reason why I hated it was that I was so interested and welcoming to other feelings, other experiences in a situation besides fun. And then because fun gets kind of watered down, I just didn't want to use that no more. I wanted to be enriched. I wanted to enjoy or find some form of a whimsical experience, not just fun. So I wanted something fantastical. I wanted something magical. I didn't go to have fun. Like lifting is fun. If I wanted to have fun, I'd do that. Put together fire playlist and then lift. But sometimes people want to live through your feelings by projecting their own expectations. Yeah, I guess that's a bar.
No, you're right. Vicariously living through you. Um, if you eat an onion ring, I'm gonna ask you, how's that onion ring? May not project, is it tasty or not? Like, oh man, that's delicious. It's delicious, right? It may be, well, is the crust like dense? Is it airy? Does it feel like more of a, chip than an actual like French fry? Like, what is the density like? Because I ain't gonna eat it. I want to know though, and I feel that like, yeah, people be like, did you have fun? Seems like a fun time, and it's like, yeah, like I ain't gonna lie, I was right there with you. Like, I
Hmm.
ain't trying to have fun. I'm trying to be happy.
Huh.
I feel like fun was a suspension of happiness, right? It was like I'm trying to be happy, but I can't, so I'm gonna have fun, right? And I felt like I went through a point in time where I felt like so many people around me were so focused on having fun they forgot how to be happy, right? Hey, I'm finna get lit this weekend. You coming through? Yeah. Oh, we finna, man, it's finna be fun. But are we happy though? Are we just escaping the fact that we not happy by having a fun moment and we not living happy lives?
Nah, I was
I mean,
escaping the fun moments just to just to live
man, man,
because I wanted to keep living. It's the quote unquote fun stuff that's happening outside, stuff happening in broad daylight, let alone at night when the sun go down. So I always wanted to make it back home.
no, it's real. And speaking of home, it is something that I can only hope everyone has, right? Going back to food being another one that's a parallel. A home is what you make it. And sometimes you don't have it. Sometimes it's something you have to carry with you. Sometimes it's something that is just within. It's not a place, but everyone deserves it. Everyone deserves to have a place to call home. And so, you know, I think it's important that people, as we have this veiled conversation around people developing the relationship with themselves and being self aware and being engaged, that they're also aware that the relationship you have with yourself is also the relationship that you have to the world around you, right? The idea of being passive and being active, there's nothing wrong with either one. Owning it, communicating it, letting it be known. So there isn't any false expectations or projections placed upon you where someone is trying to co opt your presence for their own purpose. And I'm saying that you know, in alignment with what home means to people because we are experiencing currently in this time a housing crisis, right? We're experiencing a time where the the genesis of colonialism
Mm,
manifested in the descendant called gentrification is rampant. And it's
mm,
about being aware of self and what is your involvement and engagement. It's not to say that there's an immediate answer, but there is to say that if you believe that there is something more that can be done, that's the start. Just as much as knowing what do you need to breathe? What do you need to sleep? What do you need in terms of the boundary in your space and time? So, with that, given that this Wednesday, April 27th, is this one and only Wednesday, April 27th, Affluent, do you have any final thoughts for the people of Lyrical Ones?
yeah, man. Checking in on your people, and time is scarce. So love on your people hard, and make sure with with intensity and with intentionality, with introspection. I. Instead of letting your eyes being about yourself, make those eyes about other folks. And because life is short, take an interest in the people around you. I think learning learn as much as we can about ourselves, understanding ourselves deeper helps us understand the world deeper on a deeper level.
Definitely, definitely. So, as we wrap up on this later than late edition of Lyrical Ones, you know, how we always do, often do, the 98th episode, the 98th time, maybe not even the 98th time, but definitely 98th episode.
It's probably like the 100th time, but we won't. Maybe it's more like the 101, or it's back the other way. No, it's back the other way. 95. One, 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 one.
Even go, even go more.
April 27th, rest in honor.
All the love and all the peace.
All the love. We love y'all. We thank y'all. Lyrical ones. Couldn't do it without y'all. It's all for the love.
You know, it's good because this ain't even like, you know what I'm saying? Just drift into space. You know?